Let's do a brief recap of the rules and why the rules for firms' profit and loss work out the way they do. In this starting scenario, we're looking at a firm that's earning a profit. It's earning a profit because the intersection of MR and MC occurs above average total cost. Well, let's look at why this is the case. If the price is greater than the average total cost, then the firm earns a profit. And the firm earns a profit because when the price is greater than average total cost, then the total revenue is greater than the total cost. Remember that total revenue is equal to price times quantity. So here is the price, and here is the quantity that's being sold. So right away we can draw this, and this shaded box represents our total revenue. Again, the price times the quantity. Total cost is equal to average total cost times the quantity. So again, if we're going to produce this quantity, and this is our average total cost, then our total cost equals this slightly darker box. So now we have our total revenue and we have our total cost. And as you can see, the total revenue box is greater than total cost, and that leaves us with this empty space, which is actually our profit. And as you can see here, price minus average total cost times the quantity is giving you the exact same box as doing the total revenue minus total cost method. In our second scenario, the firm found that the intersection of MR and MC occurred at the minimum of ATC, which was the efficient scale. We'll do the same formulas again. Remember, total revenue is equal to price times quantity, so we will do the price times the quantity, and here's our total revenue. Total cost is going to equal average total cost, so we will find that on this curve. Average total cost times the quantity. As you can see, the area of the two is the same. So if price equals average total cost, then total revenue equals total cost, and profit equals 0. In this scenario, the firm is going to lose money. And let's take a look at how this works. First and foremost, the intersection between MR and MC occurs below the average total cost curve. So the total revenue is going to equal, as always, to price times quantity. On the other hand, total cost is going to equal the average total cost, which can be found by following the quantity up to the average total cost curve. So it's going to be average total cost times the quantity. In this case, the total revenue that the firm earns, which we'll make in green, this total revenue is less than the total cost. So the cost box is greater than the revenue box. As a result, the firm earns a loss. And again, it's still price minus average total cost times the quantity produced. The problem with a loss, or the kind of situation that develops with a loss, so there are two different possibilities. As we indicated before, the firm is either going to continue to operate at a loss, or it's going to shut down. The situation of a loss involves very careful consideration of costs and the kinds of costs that the firm incurs. So let's suppose in this example, our firm incurs a fixed cost of $20 if it's going to be open for an hour. And let's also assume that the only other cost that it encounters is one variable cost of labor that's equal to $10 for that same hour. So both of these we'll say are per hour. That means that the firm's total cost per hour is going to equal $30. Now, if the total revenue during that period was not enough to cover the total cost, the firm would earn a loss. Let's suppose that in this case, the total revenue was only going to be $15. Well, total revenue of 15 minus total cost of 30 means the firm is going to earn a loss of $15. Should it stay open or should it close? Well, again, looking at the cost, we note that one of the costs that the firm incurs is $20 for a fixed cost. Let's say that's something like rent. Now, a fixed cost is a cost the firm pays regardless of whether it's open or not. So in other words, if the firm doesn't open, it shuts down for that hour, it still has to pay the $20 fixed cost. So in the event that the firm were shut down, the loss is going to be $20. However, if it operated and at least got some revenue, it would only lose $15. Okay, so again, a recap. If the firm doesn't open at all, it still pays its fixed cost of $20, and that means that it loses $20. On the other hand, if the firm opens, it does have to pay a worker $10 in variable costs for being there, but it also gains $15 in revenue. And since the revenue that it's going to get for that hour is greater than additional cost of being open, it's sensible for the firm to be open, and so the firm would operate at a loss rather than shut down. Let's look at the situation a little bit differently. Suppose in this case, the costs were the same, so a $20 fixed cost and a $10 variable cost, which leads us with a total cost of $30. But instead of having $15 in total revenue, the total revenue only equaled $9. Does it make sense to be open or not? Well, in the shutdown situation, if you shut down, your loss is going to be $20. So we have a negative 20. On the other hand, if you open, you're going to have to pay your variable cost of 10, so your total cost is going to be 30, but your total revenue is only going to be 9. So if you operate, then you're going to end up with a $21 loss. It makes more sense in this situation to shut down altogether. Now this has to do with total revenue and its relationship to variable cost. Let's take a minute to look at the algebra behind this. So what we basically said is that if total revenue is greater than variable cost, the firm should stay open. As you know, total revenue is equal to price times quantity. And variable cost is equal to average variable cost times a quantity. If you divide both sides by Q, then we're left with price being greater than average variable cost. So in other words, if the price is greater than average variable cost, but it happens to be less than average total cost, the firm is going to operate at a loss. On this graph, that would be this range. Greater than average variable cost, but less than average total cost. In this area, the firm will lose money if it operates, but it will lose less by operating than by shutting down altogether. Should the price fall all the way down below the average variable cost curve, in other words, if the price was less than variable cost, or average variable cost, the firm should shut down altogether because it would lose less money by shutting down than by being open and paying people to work, for example, and not even receiving enough revenue to cover their wages.